First of all, I would like to welcome everyone here to Elko High School. My name is Doug Bohannon, and I serve as the athletic director here. And today is a bittersweet day. It's a special day for the Tyler Horst Foundation. Just a little bit about today. We have some special guests with us, and I'll pass that along to probably John will introduce most of them. But we have some folks from Bloomsburg University, the head coach, and Mr. Evans, the part of the foundation. So we have some great folks from Bloomsburg that made the trip. Of course, our head football coach, our administration, Mrs. Vicente, our superintendent, and our principals, Jen Haas and Mr. Breeden, I believe, are here. So again, and so a big thank you to everyone coming out today. What we're going to do is just a little bit here. I'm going to turn it over to John Wetzel. If you don't know John, and I think everybody does, John isn't easy to hide in many ways. But he is, just a little background on John. He's a 1987 graduate of Elko High School. He then went on to play football at Bloomsburg University. And then he just on October 1 retired from the Department of Corrections. So John knows a lot of people. He's very connected. Just a side story about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had a young man who had a troubled home life, and he wanted to get into the Department of Corrections. And I shared there was a story in the paper, and it was really touching. His father was in the correction facility, and John said, "Hey, Bo, that was an awesome article. Anything I could do?" And I said, yes. So I reached out, I said, this young man wants to get involved in a field in probation and things like that. And I reached out to John. John pulled some strings, and within about 3 months, that individual got a job. So, and again, things happen for whatever reason. He got in that job, he wanted to be in that job, and it just wasn't what he wanted because it was too many different things going on, but then he landed in a good place. And but it's people like John and Coach Miller that help kids like that. And I always remember that story, and I'll always remember that. And so John's always willing to help, and this is just another example of that. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce John to the podium, but also if I don't get back up to the podium, we do have a picture of Tyler in the weight room, and then afterwards we have some refreshments if everybody wants to go in there. I know the family has not seen that yet. There's kids in there, and that's good. But we can go in there and sort of see that, and so we appreciate you all coming, and I'll turn it over to John.
Thanks, Doug. Well, first of all, it's so good to be back home. Although I told my girlfriend this is called Wetzel High. I guess they changed the name since I left. I don't know, but it really is an honor to be back here. And I agree, it's bittersweet. And to the Horst family, thank you for letting me kind of get involved in your universe here. But Tyler was such a special kid, and really for the family to want to not just highlight what he did, but use his example to help others is just an amazing thing. And I think it's the kind of thing that we can all rally around and help out. And just a real quick, when I was introduced to Tyler through Coach Sheptalk, I spoke to the football team. It was not one of my better speeches. Zoom. I was into Central off in the middle of COVID. I kicked everybody out of the room for a minute, said I got to do a quick speech. But a couple kids reached out, and Tyler was one of them. And just a great kid, and told me about his dreams to be a Navy SEAL. And such an honest kid. I was just telling, he said, so I want to work for a year and train and then become a Navy SEAL. And, you know, I know a few kids who did that. I think it's a great idea. He said, you think I should get a job I'm going to apply at Lebanon County. I said, yeah, we can help you get a job. I said, should I tell him? He said, should I tell him that I'm only going to work here a year? I go, hell no, don't tell him that. No, don't tell him anything. Tell him this is your lifelong dream and you want to do this forever. But, you know, when you think about football, and especially under a coach like Bob Miller and Frank Sheptalk, it's about honor, it's about respect, it's about focusing on others above yourself. And that also is what corrections is about. And it's also what being a Navy SEAL is about. So really, he was on a path, and unfortunately, obviously, there's things above all of us, but he was on a path and a lot of similarities. And to me, you know, anybody who went to Elko and Bloomsburg and played football, we're friends for life. So with that, I'd like to introduce the head football coach, Bob Miller. Bob.
Good afternoon. I just want to thank you again, John, for kind of bringing this all together, and for the Horst to kind of, I guess, allow, like John said, everybody into their world and their universe, and get a chance to meet Tyler. Maybe now, if you didn't really know him as he was growing up or as he was coming through our system, it's something that we're going to be able to use his memory for a long time to come. One of the things I was lucky enough to have is Tyler as a football and a track athlete. So I got to enjoy him for 2 seasons. And this is something where, you know, we look at it might be like a monetary donation, but really what it comes down to is this is part of building a legacy. When I talk about like the term legacy, we always hear that like, oh, leave a legacy, leave a legacy. You don't leave a legacy. Legacies are something, they're like a living thing. They're something that continues on, they carry on. And this is just another example now to kind of carry on Tyler's memory, carry on what he stood for. So when I talk about, like, you know, John's leaving a donation, it's not for the foundation, it's for Tyler's legacy. And what we're gonna be able to do is use this through Bloomsburg, through Elko, to kind of continue to introduce kids to what he stood for and to the things that he did. The guy was a true workhorse, all right? There's time, like, if I ever needed to carry in a game, it didn't matter if he had 35, if he had 40, we need one more carry, he would be the guy to do it. He would be a guy in track that would just be out grinding through the sprint workouts so we can get faster, then do his throwing stuff on top of it, then come in and lift. He's a guy, I like to think I put a lot of hours in here, and I'll show up to the stadium sometimes and, all right, I gotta get some paperwork done, some game plan stuff. And I'll pull up and I'll see his car out on the thing there, and he's out running around the campus. And it's 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, we just had practice, we have practice, but he never stopped those sort of workouts and pushing to achieve his dreams, and doing it in a way with integrity, and doing it in a way with honor and self-respect, but also as a way that he's quietly inspiring. And one of these things I think we're going to start to see is, as this Tyler Horst Foundation and the scholarships and the recognition through Bloomsburg start to pan out, it's going to lead kids into asking questions about him. And it's also through the essay going to push kids into kind of seeing how they fit his mold. And again, it's going to be something that continues on for generation and generation, moving on as we carry forth, I guess, over the next couple of years. So thank you very much. Thank you, John. Thank you to the Horst.
Thanks. Such a blessing to have, you know, leaders like this, building leaders in our school district, and that's what Elko's always been about. Elko. Pickle. Elko. Next, I'd like to introduce Bloomsburg's head football coach and All-American linebacker from the famous '85 team, Frank Shepton.
Thank you, John. Thank you to the Horst family, Sarah. Again, as we talk about Tyler today, we talk about of all the things, about how tough and those types of things, but I gotta throw out there about the comic books. Something that, very much defined the young man as well. And, I think that was one of the neatest things, that you had somebody that was so engaged and had that part about him that was so, the toughness, and I'm a workaholic, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna grind, and I'm a tough guy. But you know what? Like, I've also got this soft side to me. And he would, whether it was the comic books, he was showing me some of the beach pictures with he and Sarah on the ski-doos, and some of those types of things where definitely had a zest for life. And I think about his house and the young men that obviously had a chance to live with and share, and people who really knew who he was. And as he walked into my office for the first time, I'm a big first impression guy, and he's sitting across from me telling me about his dreams, and showing me he's swimming in the Berwick YMCA because he's going to be this Navy SEAL, and he knew where he was going and how he was going to get there. And then I had a great conversation with him. It was very ironic. I thought that Lisa and I were at the beach, and Tyler called me late at night, and he wanted to talk about some personal things, and there we are at the beach, and I'm thinking, man, you're going to spend like half your SEAL life right here on one of these things, and it's going to be dark and it's going to be cold, and here we are talking about your future. So obviously, like, his legacy, about impacting people. I talked about this before at the golf tournament about that. like he had such an impact on people, you know, obviously with the generosity of the foundation and being able to do some things, you know, that Tyler Horst, you know, lives on through all of us in the foundation and the things. But, you know, so special to be a part of it. You know, obviously thoughts and prayers to, you know, the family and, you know, what a special young man he is. You know, we all carry him with us in his heart, especially in the holiday and things like that. So, you know, very privileged to be a part of this, very privileged to have known Tyler and have an opportunity to work with him, you know, because he's a special young man. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Yeah. So just a bit about the donation. And in corrections, we have this cool, I think it's a cool tradition at Pennsylvania Department of Corrections where when somebody retires, we kind of pass the hat, right? And that donation doesn't go to the person, it goes to their family. Because the family puts up with a lot of stuff. Like a corrections grad, I did 32 years, because 3 less than Bickle before he says it. But you make a lot of sacrifices, you know, just like football, just like the military. You know, you basically live the work, the good people. You live the work, and it's 24/7. So it's a nice tradition. But in this case, it really felt like we had a kid who was young in corrections and young in service. So it felt like, and speaking to our leadership team, we all decided that the Tyler Horst Foundation was the place that donation should go. So our team made some donations. I let Warden Litz from Lebanon County know, who's also here, so I'm terrible with introductions, but we do have Warden Litz from Lebanon County, despite the fact that she's a Lebanon Catholic. I know Lebanon Catholic doesn't exist anymore. So, and then from the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, we have Executive Deputy Secretary Tab Bickle, he's a Lebanon guy, and Tammy Ferguson, who's a Deputy Secretary also. So, and I was discussing this with President of Bloomsburg University, Bashar Hanna, who was on his way here and kind of got sidetracked, so it doesn't look like he's gonna make it on time. But, and he said, well, I'll match it too. So, at this point, I'm gonna, everybody who I mentioned, the coach and everybody who spoke came up, I'd like to present to the Horst this check, and then we'll give you the opportunity to talk about it. All right, so if you guys would come up. Bickle, Bird, Litz, don't make me call you out my name, come on. My company, Fronema Justice Strategies, Lebanon County Correctional Facility, Elko football team, Bloomsburg football team, and Bloomsburg University. We would like to present you with this check for $5,000 to the Tyler Horst Foundation. So thank you for letting me get on.
So I don't have anything written in order, so if I kind of go out of order, but I was trying to think of I'm hearing everybody talk, trying to think of some points that I want to talk to. First off, from the bottom of my heart, all of our hearts, just thank you. Certainly, we're just speechless, honestly, especially at a time in our lives when we're approaching the 1-year date of losing Tyler and being the holiday season. Just an extremely kind of an emotional drought we're kind of experiencing, and this just brought back just such a feeling of love for all of us. So thank you. So please know from the bottom of my heart how we feel about that. As far as talking about Tyler, one thing that I thought about, Coach Tuck brought up the superheroes, and when I saw this was the plaque we had made up at the golf tournament to be given to the first Elko recipient for Tyler's foundation money, which will happen in May. And we went back and forth about whether to call this the Tyler Horst Superhero Award. And the reason being, not because that, we thought Tyler was some superhero, but that because he had that close connection, that soft side of him, where he was really into comic books. He knew every story about superheroes and their history and where they originated from, and it was just a really neat side to him that a lot of people didn't know existed. And it just made me think of this. So we decided to go with the safe side and just go traditional, but we were kind of back and forth about whether to call it the Superhero Award because of that neat little side he had. Another part to that was just as, I feel like as Tyler went through high school, went through college, when you're on a high school football team and you're getting some notoriety, your ego tends to be kind of big. But as Tyler went through and got got older and faced more of real life scenarios and went through college, I really feel like his ego had shrunk. And by the time, the Tyler that we know on January 8th, 2020, I mean, he was just so not in it for anything for him, but so into just the service part of what he wanted to do. He really was. It just kind of got smaller as he got older, and that was one reason why he got off of social media and kind of just stayed away from anything that could affect him otherwise. One other thought, I struggled feeling like Tyler's last hours, they weren't spent with family and friends, they were spent working. And after a while, I kind of thought about it, and I thought, well, what better way would Jesus want somebody to come to him after serving somebody who was in more need than he was? And that's what Tyler did the last hours of his life. So, although it wasn't as a Navy SEAL, it was with that intent to become one. He was serving others in the corrections department, and I got a lot of peace from making that connection too. So just a couple little personal things that I wanted to add. Do you have anything?
No, you're not
Okay,
good.
and then I have a couple more. I'm not done yet.
excited.
I told John, I said I'm not gonna be able to talk, and now here I am. I can't stop. So we have some events coming up. On January 8th, we have Tyler's honorary workout. This one's really particularly special because this will be exactly 1 year from the date that Tyler last worked out, January 8th, 2020. So we're inviting people to join us virtually to do a workout in Tyler's memory. We also will have an in-person location as well. We're limited to the amount of people, so that's why we advertised it as a virtual event. So that's one kind of a small fundraiser, but mainly as a way just to kind of remember him doing what he absolutely loved to do. And with that workout, we're actually giving away a Garmin watch. I don't know the exact model and make. Philip probably knows it, but anyway, it was Tyler's watch that he wore, and he wore it during his last workout on January 8th, and never took it off, and passed away with it on him. So anyway, so we're giving away to any of the participants there. We're going to do a drawing, and they'll actually receive one of those fancy Garmin workout watches. But again, it's about Tyler. We want to make it be about him, and that was something that was important to him. And now Chris Phillip gets to carry on and wear his brother's special watch. Be forgotten, and that brings us such incredible peace. So just please know that.
So just to wrap this up, I think Bob Miller really couched it the best. This is a living legacy of Tyler Horst, and we're all going to make sure, every institution representing, to make sure that goes on forever. So thank you. Thank you. And how about we go see?
Thank
wanna say
you.
something
Thank you
before-
all.
No, we're good. We can go see the.
Can we go check out this picture?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it.